Hello and welcome to my favorite episode of the year. It's time for me and Paulo to take a look back at this most recent year of 2022 and talk about our top 10 movies of the year. As well as we're going to talk about maybe some movies that fell outside our top 10. In the past, we've done consolidated lists, i.e. Paulo, you pick yours, I pick mine, and we kind of mash them together in like the top rated ones. We went away from that last year when for the first time we had zero overlap, so we couldn't have a consolidated list. And now this year we have two separate top 10 lists that I don't know yours, you don't know mine. We are going to talk about these and kind of get through it as we are hearing each other's for the first time.
I'm pretty excited about this. I would also like to call out, I told Carson right before we started recording, I have tried to predict what's going to be on Carson's top 10. And I feel 50% confident about the choices that I made.
I'm curious. I feel like there's going to be at least like two or three that you've never even heard of. So if you get over half, I'll be impressed. Before we get into that, I wanted to ask a couple questions to get started. One is, at the beginning of each year, we do a top 10 and most anticipated movies of the year that we post on our Instagram at Houston We Have a Podcast. You posted your top 10. How accurate were your predictions? Any comments about what you thought was going to be good versus what was actually good? I guess without spoiling what your list is.
So I guess this is a theme every year, but every year I pick like my most anticipated movies, and I get maybe one or two of them not right, but like I ended up actually liking one or two of them because I pick up some garbage like Jurassic World Dominion, which like I'm kind of ashamed that it was even at number 7. Actually, no, you know what? I'm not ashamed of it because I like the idea of it, but the execution was absolutely horrendous. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, the only two that were on my list that actually made my top 10. Actually, am I spoiling this for you? Because we were going to do like, it's going to be kind of a surprise. I won't tell you what position they're in.
Sure.
But Doctor Strange, I was looking forward to that. That was actually in the latter half of my my anticipated movies, or sorry, the early half. Like it was number 8. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's no surprise to Carson, you, or anyone that's been listening to the podcast that it's on my top 10. And then the ones that I was looking forward to, Thor: Love and Thunder. I was really looking forward to that one. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't not enjoy it, but I mean, I didn't even consider it to be like close to my top 10 this year. Also, there was another one. Oh, The Batman. I was looking forward to that. I mean, I think I hyped it up a little too much for myself. We talked about this in our Batman episode, so I'm not going to go too much into that. And then Nope, actually, surprisingly, did not make my top 10. And that was number 1. I was like number 1 most anticipated for the year. I was a little disappointed. Like it was still enjoyable, but I mean, I think it was another case of having my sets or the hype train kind of getting carried away with that. But yeah, I mean, that was like an honorable mention. I could have been like maybe number 10 on my list. Like I said before when we were talking about this episode, the number 10 and 9 maybe could have been, I could have switched that out with a number of different movies because I watched a lot this year.
That sounds good. Nope was also on my most anticipated list at the beginning of the year. Did not make my list this time. My trend for the second year in a row on my most anticipated list is picking movies that don't actually come out. I picked 4 of my 10 did not get released this year, so I didn't watch them. I'm still looking forward to them, but I am going to try to do better on that next year, try to pick some movies that actually come out. Although I will say that a lot of that is due to like COVID stuff and stuff getting delayed, so hopefully that won't be a trend. Of the 6 that I did watch, 3 are nowhere near my top 10 and 3 are in my top 10. So I feel like I did okay hit-miss ratio for the ones that I actually watched. I'm just going to actually try to do some research on which ones are actually going to come out this year. And we will post those again in the coming weeks on our Instagram for next year.
Yeah. I mean, I had 3 of those as well that got pushed to next year. One of them, it might be cheating, but it's still going to be on my list, like my anticipated movies, because I actually really want to see it. It's the Guy Ritchie movie with Aubrey Plaza and what's his name? Josh Hartnett. There's another guy that I was thinking of, but anyways, yeah, that one. And the 65 movie with Adam Driver and that little girl from Love and Monsters. That was on my anticipated list. It probably won't be, even though it's pushed to next year after I saw the trailer. I'm still going to watch it, and I feel like I would be entertained by it, but it doesn't seem like the type of movie that's going to like blow me away.
Adam Driver used to be my favorite actor, and I feel like he's going down the list recently with some of his decisions.
Well, what else has he done that's been not?
So I watched White Noise recently. That's not going to make the list, and actually kind of not only... I'm not going to say it's a terrible movie, but I don't know how to describe it. It annoyed me for reasons that I don't have enough time to get into.
Okay.
And then I also had looked forward to Annette last year. And I was actually listening to the soundtrack before we hopped on this call, because I listened to the soundtrack for that movie a lot. But the movie itself wasn't a huge fan of. Although I guess I respect his decision to do different stuff like that. But anyway, this is not an Adam Driver episode. The last thing I did want to comment on in the on the thread of predicting movies in the wrong year, 2 years ago I had Blonde on my top 10 most anticipated list, and I watched it this year, and I liked it more than a lot of people did. A lot of people hated it. I actually liked it, but not good enough to make my top 10.
Okay. I mean, going back to one of the other things that you mentioned that you wanted to talk about before we actually get into it is movies that we haven't seen yet, that potentially could have made our top 10s. I think Blonde is one of mine. I don't know. I think, is it the length? It's like 3 hours, right? Or more than that?
It's pretty long, yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with like 3 hour long movies. But I think Blonde is one that it will take more, it's more of a commitment. It'll feel like more of a commitment for me to start that one, because it's not normally the type of thing that I watch. I feel like if I did watch it, it may have made my top 10, but I don't know.
I don't think it would make your top 10.
No.
If you like looking at Ana de Armas and good cinematic quality, then hey, it has that appeal. She's also a really good actress and does a really good job in the role, so I'll say that. But
at the very least, maybe an honorable mention.
Sure. I'm going to do my reverse honorable mentions before we get started, and I'm going to say 2 movies that everyone's talking about that I'm going to make a point of saying are not on my top 10. I watched them, and that is Tar and The Fabelmans. I hated both of them. Sure, they were made well. No problems there. But the movies themselves annoyed me very greatly, and I hope that they do not win any awards, except for Cate Blanchett. She did a great job in Tar. But the movies themselves, I hated. Okay,
so I can cross off Tar on my predictions for your list. I thought it was going to be number 6.
I'm surprised you put it on, because I put a don't recommend on my...
But okay, see what you said, so if whoever's listening, if you've been paying attention to our Instagram posts, Carson, it was like a lukewarm review on your Instagram post. You said it was a good movie, but you didn't like other things about it, not necessarily having to do with the movie. It was like kind of like pretentious or
that's very much to do with the movie itself. The movie is very pretentious.
Okay. Okay. Well, then, I mean, that was kind of I was swinging for the fences on that one.
So here's my very, very quick review on Tar. It's very annoying and pretentious, and at the very end of a long movie, it has a reason for being that way, and it kind of lets you know what it's doing. But by that point, it's way too late, and it's already annoyed me for 2 hours that it can't really save itself. So I get what it's trying to say, and it's doing it for a reason, but it doesn't save it.
Okay, that's fair. And then the Fablemans, that I didn't even realize that came out this year. I saw a trailer for it, and I was just completely uninterested.
I hate Steven Spielberg, so I think I hated that movie before it even started. But it has all the hallmarks of things I don't like about Steven Spielberg. So
Okay. Wait, why don't you like Steven Spielberg?
he's a
Without
very good
going too far down the
filmmaker
rabbit hole.
who I don't want to say doesn't take risks, but none of his movies require any type of complex thought. The good guys are the good guys, the bad guys are the bad guys. The world is this very simple, and it's like Tom Hanks in that Cold War movie that he did. He's just like he's gonna say the big speech, and he's gonna talk about the bad guys, and we're all gonna feel good about ourselves. And that's all Steven Spielberg's movies for the last like 15, 20 years. Some of early in his career, different story, but like it's just too safe, too boring, too simple. It's like I feel like my mind is not challenged in any way, and I'm annoyed especially because he's such a good filmmaker. It just feels like everything's wasted.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. I mean, I enjoy some of that, like in terms of like, oh, it's simple. Good guys are good guys, bad guys are bad guys. It's like the Indiana Jones, like I don't know what else. The Jurassic
Nazis
Park.
were the best thing for Spielberg to ever make movies about because they are the bad guys. You don't need to think about Nazis any more than that. They don't have to be complex.
Well, I mean, depends on who you talk to these days.
Sure.
That was a joke. I'm not.
We'd probably get better views if we just swung that way.
Oh God.
All right, let's get started. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
This is probably going to be the most that I'm going to talk about any one of these movies, because it is. I'm going to get on my soapbox again, because well, it'll make sense. It's called Nocebo. It's a movie. I mean, the one movie on my list that I'm pretty sure Carson has never heard of. And I actually had not heard of it. It's like a really small budget, probably movie, like on those random horror streaming service called Shudder.
Oh, I love Shudder.
Sorry?
I love Shudder.
I like it too. I mean, I haven't subscribed to it or anything, but it's like the type of stuff that I would like, and this is one example. So Nocebo, it's a horror movie that's not quite like, it's pretty standard. It's like not a wildly creative concept. But the fact that one of the main characters is a Filipino caretaker straight from Cebu, who has a heavy Filipino accent. It's not played for a laugh. It's part of her character, and the fact that she's a character is part of her character. Wait, did I say the fact that she's a character is not? Sorry, I meant caretaker. So she's like a nanny. She's been hired by this British family, Eva Green and Mark Strong. And the wife, Eva Green, is she's going through some like weird mental episodes. Like she's losing her memory. She's having like panic attacks and stuff like that. And she's a children's fashion designer, so it's affecting her work. She apparently hires this Filipino nanny who just shows up on her doorstep one day. And from the first meeting, the nanny is like, "Oh, you called me to come here. Like, don't you remember?" Or not? She doesn't even say, "Don't you remember?" It's kind of just like she convinces her, like she plays into her loss of memory, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you told me to come here and help you out. You need help, blah blah blah." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I did." And then that's the point of the movie, is that like she's kind of a suspicious character, like living in their house now, taking care of their daughter, taking care of the wife, and like the wife is like not sure if she's going crazy or if like all these traditional medicines and like treatments that the Filipino nanny is doing is like helping her or making her worse, type of thing. That's the idea. I'm gonna spoil it in a few seconds. Or actually, do you care, Carson?
You know what? The last couple of years, you've put things on your list that I was like, I don't know if I'd like that. And then I watch it and I actually like it. So I'm going to say I'm actually going to go watch this. So don't spoil it for me.
Okay, I won't spoil it. I mean, it's pretty predictable. I'll say, like, within, I don't know, maybe the first third of the movie, you're probably going to know what happens. What I liked so much about it is that, again, like having the Filipino character that's a nanny, that's a main player. She's not like she's not like a goofy person. She's just, you can tell that she's just a real. She felt very authentic. Like with the accent, it's like I'm caught in the middle of feeling like she's one of my titas. At the same time, she's like kind of, there's something kind of like there's clearly something off about her, and it was enjoyable for me to watch the development as it goes along. Um, um, I was gonna call one other thing out, but that would spoil everything. Maybe after you watch it, I'll bring it up. But it gets a little preachy, probably near the end. But I mean, it's fine. It's good. It was a good movie. And then an honorable mention to Prey, Predator movie, which we've already talked about.
So that's like your number 11, I guess.
Prey is, yeah, I guess. Yeah, if I hadn't watched Nocebo this year, then Prey would be 10.
I feel like there's like a mini, I don't want to say resurgence, but surgence of like Filipino actors and actresses, because I have another movie coming up where there's a really good Filipino character.
Really?
Not in my number 10 spot, but yeah, I'll get there when I get there, but yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I think it's also partly because I've just been so vocal about it this year. I don't know what's come over me. Getting in touch with my roots. Anyways, yeah, that's 10.
My number 10, predictably an A24 movie, which if you put any A24 movies on your list, you're probably right. But this one is Causeway, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry. It's a movie about Jennifer Lawrence is I think Afghan or Iraq war vet who's coming back home to New Orleans. She's got like brain damage and has to like rehabilitate in society. She meets Brian Tyree Henry's character, who's also got like some stuff going on in his life, and they're basically flawed characters who you think they're getting together because they're flawed, but then you kind of realize that both of them are not very good characters or people for one reason or another. Anyway, great acting. I'm not a particularly big fan of Jennifer Lawrence, but she does a great job in this movie. Brian Tyree Henry is a great actor. I love him, everything he's been in. This is probably one of his best performances because he's usually kind of relegated to side character roles. And in this one, like he gets the spotlight and he shines. So not a whole lot to say about the movie other than just like really good acting between two characters. It is kind of like that more minimalist movie. And then if we're doing honorable mentions, I'll also say I had a really hard time debating number 10 if it was going to be Causeway or After Sun. After Sun has kind of lit up the Indie Award movies. This year is probably going to get some Oscar nominations. Really enjoyed it, but I liked Causeway just a little bit more because a little bit more coherent storyline and just kind of how they wrap things up and understand the characters. After Sun is kind of purposely vague, which is why I kind of dropped it off the top 10.
Okay. I was wondering recently what Jennifer Lawrence has been up to, because I feel like she hadn't done anything
I think she
in
had
like
a kid.
a year. Well, no, sorry, I know she's had a kid. I mean, I'm sure she's done that, yes, but like in terms of movies, like how recent was that kid? Is it this year?
I think it was during pandemic, but if you're asking about celebrity news,
and then she took
the wrong person to ask.
Yeah. I just asked for like the point of like, yeah, she hasn't been in anything for a while, or I thought, and now I know that she has, which is interesting because it wasn't a big type of blockbuster that she's usually
I'm
in.
kind of glad she's getting back to her roots a little bit because I really liked her when she started out acting, and she was in a movie called Winter's Bone, which was like an indie movie that she got a lot of acclaim for, and I feel like that type of flawed kind of paranoid character similar to what she did in like Silver Linings Playbook and a few other movies like that. It's like she's good at that kind of like broken crazy character, and she kind of plays something similar to that here.
Okay, well, I was completely wrong for my prediction for your list. I had Top Gun at 10. I know you have like one mainstream movie, usually at least one on there. I thought Top Gun was gonna be one of them. And it would have obviously been at the very bottom of your list.
I got a mainstream movie somewhere in here.
Okay, but it's not Top Gun.
Number 9.
Oh, yeah, my turn. At number 9, I put Violent Night, which is the Santa Die Hard movie, starring the sheriff from Stranger Things. What's his name? David Harbour, who was a bit of a letdown as Hellboy. But
he wasn't a letdown as Hellboy. The movie was a letdown.
Fair, yes, okay. I'll take that correction. But yeah, I mean, it's literally what I said. It's Santa Claus as an action hero. Santa Claus is John McClane, basically, trying to save a rich family, or a little girl who's part of a rich family, because John Leguizamo, who is great, he and his band of criminals is trying to rob their money. Very simple, very cheesy, very fun. I think the soft spoiler here, the Home Alone sequence did it for me. I wasn't quite sold like for the first like little bit of the movie, but then by that point I was like, okay, yeah, I can rock with this. And yeah, I mean, it's like everyone is a caricature. They say a bunch of Christmas puns. I don't really like Christmas themed movies, but I mean, I think this one just had enough violence to carry it over the edge for me. Yeah. Special shout out to.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say special shout out to the guy who plays Translucent in The Boys, who just looks like a slimy person, like who you always think is a bad guy in a movie. Who, I mean, he kind of turns out to be. He's like toes the line in this one. Sorry, pointless call out. What are you saying?
Yeah, so I watched this on Christmas Eve and I hated this movie. It was probably one of the worst things I saw all year. I understand the appeal of it. Like, I knew what I was getting myself into. I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, I get what this is going to be. What continues to annoy me in movies like this is like the John Leguizamo character. It just like, and I had the same issue with the villain from Easter Sunday, where it's like, you can have just a serious villain. You don't need to have, like, why does everyone need to be telling the jokes all the time? Like, I don't understand the appeal of those characters, even in a movie like that. I like David Harbour. I think he did an okay job. The movie was silly. The Home Alone sequence I did like. That was a good part, and there was another like hammer scene in a stable that was, it's like, okay, I get it. Even like the bad one-liners that he kept doing about Christmas, where he would like quote the Christmas fable in like a menacing voice. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. But it was just like every character outside of David Harbour just annoyed me, and I hated them, and therefore hated the whole movie.
Oh my! I think that's okay. That's way too much emphasis on like the whole John Leguizamo thing. I don't think he overdid it with like the jokes. I think I don't know. It was pretty standard for me, which maybe I guess is an indictment of all movies where I like most movies that I watch where a lot of people talk like that. So I'm just like fine with it. But in general, I'm fine with that. So it didn't bother me as much. I enjoyed it. It is on my top 10.
I don't know. For me, it's like, I understand that it's not supposed to annoy me because it's a certain type of movie. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, not... I don't understand why it exists to begin with, these characters. Like, does anyone like these characters, or are we just tolerating them?
I think so. Actually, this is interesting because I think there's a recurring theme on my top 10 where it has a lot of shitty characters in the movie. Like, not that they're played shitty, but like they're shitty people. And there was a lot of that in this. Like the family that Santa's trying to save, most of them are shitty people, and most of them actually survive too, which is surprising. And a lot of the other movies that I've watched this year, and surprisingly that I've liked, have to do with like a lot of shitty people, but it's not to the point. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's just me, but I still enjoyed the movie, even though these are people that you like in real life you would probably hate. But it'll probably make a little more sense when I get to those movies. But anyways. That's something to look out for later in the list.
Use that to segue into my number 9 movie, which is a movie full of flawed, terrible people called Triangle of Sadness.
I got one.
So Triangle of Sadness, for from I don't want to say he's like a Swedish director, but it's political and social satire. It's less of an actual movie of its own, and it's more, here are 3 segments that they had for a short movie that they've just kind of decided to cram together somewhat sloppily, maybe a little bit, into like a, full 2-hour narrative. But it is more just like, here are different segments that have social commentary. This is the movie that I said had a strong Filipino character, because in one of these, did you watch Triangle Sadness?
No, but you know what? I saw the one scene that I think you're like referring to, because my friend sent it to me on Instagram. But yeah.
So like the whole thing is about commentary on class society and rich people, and there's models at the beginning of the movie, and then they go on a rich cruise ship, and then they get stranded on an island later in the movie, and then like for that 3rd segment, there's a Filipino worker on the cruise who's on the island, who's basically the only one that has any type of life living skills, and because of that, she becomes like the dictator of the island, who like she catches the fish, she does like, she makes the fire, and therefore she's the boss, and so like everyone's kind of her slave type thing. So it's kind of like funny role reversal type stuff, but like every character is a terrible person. There's no one that you can actually root for, even like the Filipino character who's like the one blue collar person on the island and kind of in the movie as a whole, kind of turns out to be a shitty person because she abuses her power. So I would say in most years, this movie wouldn't be good enough to be in my top 10, because again, it's not like a really connected movie. It's kind of just like, here's some individual things that are humorous. And they do work. They are funny, but it's not like a coherent plot. It's more just like, here's some social commentary, and either you enjoy the scenes or you don't. And it's played to absurdity over the top. So this director's last movie, The Square, I enjoyed a little bit more. That's with, I want to call him Clive Owen, but it's not Clive Owen. It's someone else. But anyway, it was like kind of a similar type thing where it was, the whole thing is kind of an excuse for social commentary, but it was strung together with like a much more stronger through line that helps like tell the story. So this one was a bit more sloppy, but also a little bit more funny. So in a somewhat weaker year than usual, gets in my top 9, but I'm not going to really defend it that hard.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually, so I forgot to call out that one as one that I haven't seen this year, but I wanted to. I just didn't get around to it. So I'm glad you have that on your list. Oh, are you done with that one?
I don't have much else to say on that one.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one either. I feel like you're expecting me to say this one, and I feel like you have things to say about it, but Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is on my list. It's I mean, it's a Marvel movie. It was, I think this has a lot to do with like emotion, for Chadwick, who my wife and I both like. Sucks, the circumstances. The movie itself was, it was okay. It would actually be interchangeable with like Violent Night and Nocebo for me. I think how much my wife loved it played a role into how high it is on my list. That being said, it was enjoyable. I liked Winston Duke a lot. He probably steals the show quite a bit for me. Aside from, what's his name? The villain. Damn it. I
didn't watch this movie. I don't have much to come.
Namor. Oh, okay. Namor. He did a good job as Namor. I don't remember who I said this to, but the Black Panther movies, they do a really good job of creating the sympathetic villains. I think the best in any of the Marvel movies in terms of sympathetic villains. Sorry, not villains in general, just sympathetic villains. To the point where they're almost not even villains. Like you agree with them up until they do something crazy, and then you're like, okay, I can't cheer for him anymore. The world. What's the Namor's world? Oh God,
I think it starts with an A.
I can't. It's not Atlantis. Whatever. Not Atlantis.
Recently, part of like a Lego Marvel game that I was playing as a video game, but I can't remember it.
Okay, whatever. I mean, like, yeah, just the world, like the villain world, and Namor as a character, were pretty interesting. It was cool to just like I think what's his name, the director Ryan Coogler, does as much work building up the villains as he does like Wakanda in this movie. So I mean, it was satisfying to watch, uh, albeit a little long. It dragged a bit, especially it's Marvel's. Quite a bit of it didn't make sense, but those are like minor gripes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty confident it won't be on my top 10 when I do see it. Kind of one sidebar that I would say is I've started doing more research these days about DC and Marvel kind of making the same character at the same time and trying to like research the history of how that happened, because like obviously Namor very similar to Aquaman. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see Werewolf at Night, which was like the 1 hour Marvel movie where they have Man Thing, which is like a copy of Swamp Thing, and they kind of released at the same time. So I don't know. I find it interesting to do a little bit of research after this to be like, who copied who, or did they just accidentally have the same idea in the same year? Because it's not like they copied them 10 years later after it got successful. Like they just had ideas at the same time. So that's all. Interesting to hear like the research of like how these companies and characters got created.
Yeah, yeah. I remember reading something about that a long time ago. I don't remember any of it, but I'm like, it's fairly certain someone copied someone, because it's not just like one or two off. Like it's literally every single character has a counterpart on the other side.
Yeah, and like I think me 5-10 years ago, I probably would have had like my DC fanboy hat on and would have been like, "Oh, DC made it first, and Marvel they copied them." And now I don't care as much, and I'm more just intrigued by what two people would do as a different take on basically the same character.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, who would be the DC version of Black Panther? Is there one? That's the one that I like. Just now that I think about it, I can't think of any.
There's obviously similarities to Batman a little bit, but not like from a social lens, more from like an actual character and powers perspective.
I guess.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that one. I'm sure they had one that maybe just wasn't successful.
Well, we found the one that's not like overly obvious.
All right, my number 8. I'm thinking this is something that you predicted because I've talked this up a few times on our Instagram. Apollo 10.5, which is a Richard Linklater movie who is, in my opinion, the best, one of, if not the best, dialogue writers in cinema for the last like 30 years. And I recently rewatched Before Midnight, which is another really good movie that he did. The movie itself is kind of a joke. It's like the idea that NASA accidentally made the Apollo capsule too small and they needed to get a kid to like test it out before they sent Apollo 11. And so there's a kid from like, the 1960s kind of going through the space program. But really the movie is about, this is what life was like in the 60s. And it's just like a big family living in the 60s, doing all like 60s nostalgia stuff and just like talking about what life was like. I think Jack Black is the narrator of it. It's just really good, witty dialogue for, I think it's probably an hour and a half. It's not probably even a full 2 hours. But it's just one of those pieces that even though I didn't grow up in the 60s, I felt the nostalgia for it. And it made me feel the nostalgia about the 90s that I did grow up in, and just making me kind of think more about nostalgia and just family and all this kind of like different time than what we live in now.
Cool. I like, this is the animated, or like, what's that?
It's sort of animated.
Specific kind of animated one. Like it's the same style as he did an older movie. Like I think Keanu Reeves was in it.
Scanner Darkly was that one. He's done a few other ones. I think Waking Life is another version of it, and it's kind of like
in that style.
It's almost like somebody put an animated filter over top of just like filming a scene.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so I didn't predict this one. I knew you liked it, like especially from what you've said before. I think partly I didn't think that it would make your top 10. One, because it was animated, and two, which is I realize is unfair. And two, because it's animated, it kind of just went over my head. Like I don't really like it. This the way you describe it is something that I would probably be interested in watching, but I don't know why I just can't. Most animated movies I don't really get into, like even anime or like those like stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
kind of
sure.
check out.
I don't really know why this movie is animated. Like, there's no reason why it should be. I'm pretty sure they had these people like act it all out anyway, so they probably could have just said it in a. It all takes place on like one street anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it's animated. That didn't add for me, but it didn't take it away either. On a sidebar, it's kind of also got me thinking about nostalgia, and I think I really crave for a good 90s nostalgia movie because like that's when I grew up, but I've also been thinking about how old I am lately. I feel like 90s nostalgia is like too early for me, and it's like when are we going to start getting the 2000s nostalgia? And I'm even just wondering like what is that going to look like in cinema, because we haven't even done the 90s properly yet from like a nostalgia perspective. Like I was hoping Captain Marvel would do it well. There was a movie that Jonah Hill directed called Mid-90s, which did it a little bit, and there's like a few other versions of it, but I don't know. I'm hoping for a good like 2000s nostalgia movie that captures my childhood.
Do you feel like is there enough like distinguishing factors of the 90s and 2000s to really set it apart from something like this, the 70s and the 60s, or sorry, 70s, 80s?
The 90s, sure, you had like a ton of culture coming in the 90s. You had like, all the boom of technology and like people adapting to technology. You had very unique like music styles of that time. I feel like once you get past the year 2000, everything just starts to blur a little bit. I don't know what that culture is, but I'm hoping it does get captured and identified at some point. I was thinking about what that is. Is like, what is 2000s nostalgia? Is it like young LeBron James?
Exactly.
Like Lord of the Rings,
like oversized tees, like baggy clothes, and because that actually I don't know, slightly unrelated, but my friend is having her birthday coming up soon, and she's doing like a 2000s theme, and I don't know, like, see, this is like falling in line with like how would you show that in a movie? Like how would you make that a theme of a movie? And I just can't I can't process.
I think maybe 2000s is when like 70s retro became a thing. And so like 2000s nostalgia is kind of 70s nostalgia at the same time.
Yeah, but then at that point, like you're going to make a 70s movie. Like you can't, that would be way too many weird layers to have okay, this is the 2000s movie, but because it's 2000s movie, we're talking about like, we're doing the style of 70s stuff. Sorry, too far down this rabbit hole.
Well, I'm going to go more down this rabbit hole.
Oh, okay.
Here's a fact that hit me today that kind of, I don't know, depressed me. Iron Man came out 15 years ago.
Oh, God. So many things like that.
Like Lord of the Rings came out 20 years ago. And I was thinking about this the other day because I'm thinking about what movies I'm going to force my daughter to watch when she gets old enough. And I was realizing when I was born, A New Hope was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And right now, Iron Man is older for my daughter when she was born than Star Wars was when I was born. And that's
okay, that makes it
I'm gonna make her watch like Iron Man and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars when she's like 10 or so, and these movies are gonna be like 30 years old at that point.
All right, that makes it worse perspective for me. Thank you.
Anyway, just I was gonna be like,
that's not that bad. And then when you frame it like that, Jesus. When I think about A New Hope now, like
Ghostbusters came out 5 years before I was born, but like I always thought that was like an old movie growing up.
Yeah. And even Jurassic Park, I think, was the year that we were born, 89, right?
I thought that was 90.
Or 90? 93? Wow, I'm way off then. There was a big one that came out in 89. Pulp Fiction? No. That's even older.
You're probably right, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm not going to look it up. Okay.
That's all I have to say about Apollo 10.5.
Okay. Wait, that was number 8?
That was 8.
I thought Pearl was going to be 8. Is it on your list?
We'll see.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna speed past this one a little bit. I'm currently on a mainstream portion of my top 10 list. Number 7 is Top Gun. Um, I will say, like I said, I don't have a lot to say about it. I really enjoyed it. It was just campy fun. Um, I do not agree with it being 99% or 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, but it was good.
I really like Top Gun. Top Gun is on my top 10 list, and it is higher than it is on yours.
Ooh,
I thought Top Gun was going to be your number 1 or 2.
really?
Yeah.
No, I think you're going to be upset with my with my top 5.
I have comments about Top Gun. I'll reserve them for later on in my list when we get there.
Okay, cool. What do you got at number 7?
Number 7, I don't know how much I'll have to say about this, but it was a really good movie, Armageddon Time. I kind of accidentally watched this. There was a documentary about the Iraq War coming out, and I was interested in it, and when I saw this movie out, I was like, oh, it's that documentary. And I turned it on, and it was something completely different. It's like Jewish family growing up in the 50s. Really well made, well acted. It has Anthony Hopkins as like the grandpa of the family, but it's mostly like a coming of age story of a kid. He's from like kind of a rich family, and he's going to like a inner city school and then gets kind of kicked out for doing bad stuff, and he goes to like a rich kid school. And so it kind of has like that elements of I guess class and culture to it, kind of mixed with a coming of age story. Just really well made. I don't know if I have to say a whole lot more than that. I have a really hard time selling it. Either you're into that kind of like period piece coming of age movie or you're not. If you are into that thing, check out Armageddon Time.
Interesting. I had this at 5 for you. And it was a complete guess because I knew absolutely nothing about this movie.
I remember really liking it, but when I put it on this list and I was thinking about things I was going to say about it, I just kind of draw a blank of like, there's not much to think about once the movie is over, but when you're sitting there and watching it, there's a lot to enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I mean, it doesn't sound like my type of thing either. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but.
Yeah,
cool.
I wouldn't, not a heavy recommendation by any sense.
Okay. That was 7. So I put Scream at number 6, which came out in like January, I think. This is like probably 95% like preference based. So like context, a little bit of context, it doesn't really matter, but it kind of does for the reason why I liked it. Growing up, I could never watch any scary movie. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I was too much of a little baby to watch anything even remotely scary. Even things that were not scary and had like maybe one scary moment would give me nightmares. So I did not start watching any scary movies like and enjoying them until maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Actually, that's 15 is even too early. Like 8 years ago. I just got on this track of watching everything that I missed. So I'm like, I've gotten a lot more into horror and stuff, and Scream is one of those franchises that I've mostly liked. I enjoy that it's meta. This particular movie, I like the characters of Jack Quaid and Melissa Barrera, who's the main couple, I guess. I mean, it's kind of like Scream is to Scream. I mean, it's aptly named because they're both named Scream, like the first one, because it's basically the same movie in the same way that Force Awakens and A New Hope are the same movie. They kind of did the same. Yeah. I mean, sure, soft reboot, like very, very soft reboot, like all the way down to like the reveal where the one of the killers is like doing her spoiler. It came out in January. Fuck it. Spoiler. The girl who like who turns out to be one of the killers. The boyfriend is the other killer, Jack Quaid. Um, she is like doing her best impression of what's the goofy guy from the first Scream, like the very, very first Scream.
I haven't watched any of them.
He was. Oh, really?
No.
Oh, geez. He was in Scooby Doo. He was like Shaggy.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I just really want to say his name because I like him. But basically, because he's like so over the top during the reveal of the original Scream movie, and this girl is like doing the same thing, which I thought was fun. It was pretty funny because Matthew Lillard, that's his name. But yeah, that was like, it's like, I don't know if it's intentionally funny, but his like what he's doing, how much he's hamming it up, because like he's pretending to be crazy, I guess. Yeah, it was fun to watch this girl do like a modern impression of that. I feel like a super fan may not have appreciated what they were trying to do. I mean, in the same way that Force Awakens and A New Hope, people didn't like that. But yeah, that's it. Oh, also, I wanted to say, so Jenna Ortega is in it. And you've made comments before about Timothée Chalamet, where like you don't like him because you feel like he was just anointed like the next guy. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what happened with Jenna Ortega. She kind of just came out of nowhere and now she's in everything, which is not like, I don't mean that in a bad way for her. I don't even particularly agree with how you feel about Timothée Chalamet, but I feel like she is the female version of your description of Timothée Chalamet.
The only thing I've seen Jenna Ortega in is X, which is the prequel to Pearl. And so I know that she's Wednesday and everyone likes that movie now, but it's like my perception of her is just side character in some other movie. And I know like even when that movie came out, they're like, oh, Jenna Ortega's in the small role. And I was like, I don't know who that is. I just assumed she was some like, I don't know, Disney actress or singer or somebody that I didn't know.
Well, she's not actually. She's been doing like real movies and stuff. Well, like both. She's like all over the place right now. Like in a good way. She'll do something like the sequel to The Babysitter. And then she'll also there was another movie that I saw her in where she's like playing a high school student dealing with the fallout of a school shooting. And that was interesting. It was like a little more artsy, I guess. But yeah, I mean, she's a side character in this one. And there's a bit of a twist at the end. Surprise. Oh, sorry. I forgot that I was heavy into spoilers. I'm just gonna keep leaning into that. The main girl, Melissa Barrera, turns out to be the daughter or granddaughter of Billy Loomis, who's like the original killer from the first Scream movie. So like the whole thing at the end is that like it's really weird now that I'm explaining it, but the whole thing about her is like, oh, when she's trying to fight back against the killers, she's like embracing her heritage of being the daughter of like a serial killer. So she just like straight up murders Jack Quaid. I mean, it's weird saying it out loud, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, as I said, I haven't watched it. I don't think I've purposely not watched Scream or any of the other movies for any particular reason. Like, I don't think I'd hate it or love it. I just, like, haven't watched it. So, no comment.
It's one of those. I feel like it's one of those things where it's similar to me telling my wife to watch Star Wars. Like, it's Star Wars, you know, in the same way like it's Scream. Anyways, I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't particularly recommend it to you, especially if you don't care too much about that franchise or
pretty much that genre in total.
Like any horror?
That type of horror. Like
slasher horror.
So. Yeah, slasher horror.
Okay.
Don't hate.
That's
I just
fair.
don't have a particular strong opinion of.
Okay.
Number 6 on my list is a movie that has been on my most anticipated list for 2 years in a row because I forgot that or missed that it wasn't going to come out. And that is the movie Decision to Leave from Korean director Park Chan-wook, who did Oldboy and Handmaiden, Stoker, a lot of really good movies. Probably the best made movie this year. Potentially my number 1 is equal to that in terms of like the craft of filmmaking, you know, picking up a camera, knowing how to shoot a scene, lighting it, having the sound editing, like just the actual technical aspects of filmmaking. Every scene looks really interesting. Everything is shot beautifully. The emotion of every scene really comes through. The story I don't really care about and isn't particularly strong. I think for those who don't know what the movie's about, it's basically the main character is an investigator. He's investigating a murder. He's pretty sure it's the wife, but he falls in love with the wife, and there's kind of like a romance as he's investigating her. And so like there's a lot of scenes that just kind of feel like fucked up because they're dealing with the murder of her husband, and she's clearly a murderer, but he's in love with her. And so there's a lot of like fun kind of weird scenes like that. The whole like how it wraps up in the like last 30-45 minutes, I just fell flat for me. Like if it would have wrapped up well, probably would have been my favorite movie of the year. So like the first hour and a half is brilliant, but it just kind of falls off a cliff at the edge of it. I would still recommend it. It's a entertaining movie, regardless of what genres you like. Just like doesn't particularly wrap up very well.
Okay. So I have it in front of me, which is I had questions. So like one, because I know you've mentioned this before, I think several times on the podcast, right?
Have I?
Maybe at least twice, I think. I remember your description of it. It sounds familiar to me. When you're saying like little fun moments like that, the movie itself, is it like that kind of vibe? Because it's like a crime, like a mystery drama type.
It's not like, really a mystery. It's more of a romance because you know that she's the killer.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then, because it was like the IMDb page in front of me, it just automatically plays the trailer silently. And it was like, as you were explaining this, one of the comments was like, the best romance movie of the year. I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound like. I was about to be like, yeah, that's like a mystery. Sure, I'm into it. And then like that's not.
This is going to be like a bad way of portraying it, but an example is like they're bringing her into the interrogation room, which is like you typically have like the harsh lights and people like having questions, but like instead he gets like really nice sushi, and it's like the best meal that she's had, and then like the other detectives are out there like eating cheap food, and they're like, wait, why is he buying sushi for this lady? And he's like, no, okay. We have to do this so that we can convince her to like give us the right information, but he's like actually trying to woo her kind of. Oh, and also he's married, so it's like,
oh shit.
And he doesn't know that he's in love with her. It's like she's kind of seducing him and like wearing the right perfumes or things to like try to do it, and he's kind of like under her spell. So it's like all these things that are just, they seem terrible, but they're kind of played in a funny way.
Oh, okay. Is it like a Sharon Stone type thing where she's like doing it on purpose?
No, like much more subtle.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay, obviously.
not just from that perspective, but like everything in the movie is very subtle. It's all like it starts very slow, and then it kind of like ramps up and to become like more and more as it goes on.
Okay, that's cool. It's those, Koreans, even and Filipinos can't help but put some romance in any movie. There always has to be one, or some of it. Everyone speaking, especially Filipino movies, like it doesn't matter what it is, there has to be like a love story, and it has to be really cheesy.
So I don't know if this movie's going to end up being in our top 10 or not, but I watched the movie Triple R, which is like the Indian Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
There was I remember one time me and my wife went to I think TIFF Theater in Toronto, and it was like Korean month or whatever. And there was like a quote from Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite and whatnot, and there's like a famous quote from him that said like everything in Korea is more extreme from like an emotion perspective because it's all like heightened and more like over the top, which I feel like Triple R is like that times a million. It's like every hint of emotion, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that movie. It's just like it actually worked for me, but the idea that Korean cinema is extreme kind of no longer has any credibility to me once I've seen Triple R.
I feel like Triple R would be the only. Is it Indian?
I think so.
It would be like the first Indian movie that I would ever watch because I saw like I don't remember where I saw it, but it's like a clip of I think it's a police station and there's like a mob. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what's happening, but there's like a mob like at the fence, and then a police officer like with a baton like jumps like 50 feet in the air over the fence and starts like fighting off the mob with his baton by himself. I don't know why that's interesting to me. I think just like the I'm hesitant to call it absurdity because I feel like it's like the type of movies that they make. Sure, that's it. I don't mean absurdity in a bad way. I mean it in a very good way. I like these types of things. So this is like the type of thing that I would enjoy watching. Which I'm sorry, I've completely gone off topic from the movie that you.
Yeah, I'll recommend Triple R to you. I think if you haven't watched it, you would enjoy it. Even though it was absurd and over the top, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't good enough to make my top 10, but it was like restrained just enough to to work. I would say the entire movie reminds me of the end of Star Trek Beyond, where they start playing Sabotage, and it's like the dumbest action scene. That's basically that for an entire movie. It's like it's dumb, but it just barely works.
That's awesome. I'm 100% on board with that. So
number 5, top half
number
of our
5
lists now.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm safely out of super mainstream until I go back into it in another 1 or 2 movies. Number 5, I have Bodies, which I surprisingly, this was not on my radar at all. I actually, even after you watched it and posted about it, I was kind of on the fence with even watching it. And then I just decided to. It was really, and this goes into the theme that we were talking about earlier with like just terrible people. Like the characters are mostly terrible people. And I don't know why, but even though they all suck, I was invested in what happens to them. I even felt a little sorry because it was a terrible. Some of them were terrible in that they were just kind of, for lack of a better word, pathetic. Like it's just the one girl in particular that I'm thinking of. She was like, she's obviously trying to like she's the model of like a, I don't know, quote unquote, like trying to be woke, but she's not really. She's just kind of dumb. And she's like trying to be sensitive to all these things, but she doesn't even know what they mean. And she just ends up dying because she gets shot somehow, and then there's like a whole like wrestle for the gun that she gets shot with, and they're like wrestling on top of her, and she's like in pain because they're on her leg that's just been shot. It's like you just feel so bad because she's just so like it's just pathetic. But basically it's sorry, I feel like I haven't been describing any of the movies recently that have been on my list. I feel like Bodies is less known, so I'll describe it a little bit. Basically it's a hurricane party. Actually, that's one big thing. They're having a hurricane party. I don't know if that's a real thing, but it just adds to the fact that they're terrible people. Like they're all getting together.
Like,
they're
so
all
they're
rich.
getting in their rich mansion to have a hurricane party.
Yeah, they're getting in their rich mansion to celebrate a hurricane so they can do drugs and get drunk and whatever. And one of them dies. Pete Davidson dies, and they all start to just immediately start unraveling and suspecting each other. And it plays up the fact that like they try to be like really good and quote unquote sorry, using that term again, woke people. But then when push comes to shove, they're just like immediately like everything they know about each other, they use like, oh, you're the killer because of this. Like you have, I don't know, mental problems, bad example, whatever. Or you pretend to care about things, but you really don't, and you're just a shitty person. Oh, and then the girl who's like the pathetic one that gets shot. It's also pretty funny that I think she was the one that had a podcast. And they like always make fun of her for having a podcast because it sucks. The one other thing that I wanted to call out, I think Maria Bakalova is her name. I'm happy
I didn't know that was her.
Yeah, I was happy to see her in this movie because the only other thing I've seen her in was that Borat movie, like the sequel to Borat, where she plays his daughter.
Yeah, I think that's where she like started acting. I don't think she had acted before that.
Yeah, exactly. And I, after watching that movie, wasn't sure that she would be in any other movie ever. But she's in this, and it was good. I like it. It's pretty funny.
I actually didn't make that connection that was her, but yeah, no.
Yeah, well, she's unrecognizable.
I think I had talked about it previously, but like I like this movie. It wasn't good enough to make my top 10. It was in like that 15 to 20 range, but very similar to Triangle of Sadness, where the whole thing is basically an excuse to do social commentary. Bodies is a little bit more coherent in an actual, like, here's an actual story that's going to happen. So I don't know why it kind of dropped so far in my rankings, because it wasn't even considered for my top 10, but it's a pretty solid movie. Everyone does a good job. And yeah, I think, as you said, like, I like that they didn't pretend that any of the characters were good. It's like, you always kind of feel like at some point your main protagonist is going to be revealed as to being like a good person, but it's like they all are kind of, they're all bad people. They all get what's coming to them. And the people who are good people, they just get killed off. So
yeah. Yeah. Oh, and what's his name?
Lee Pace.
Ronan, the destroy or the accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy is
Thandril,
like,
or whatever his name is from The Hobbit.
Yep, that guy. Like same character or same guy, different character. He is like one of the girls' too old boyfriend, who they immediately suspect because she's known him for. It's the same girl again, the dumb one. Where they're like thinking about who could have killed Pete Davidson, and then they were like, "How long have you known your boyfriend?" And she's like, "A month." And like, "What do you know about him?" He's like, she knows his astrological sign, and that's it. Like, she can't tell them anything else about him. And then they just end up murdering him because they think he's the killer.
I've only seen Pete Davidson in two things: King of Staten Island and this one, and they were both really good. I'm sure a lot of his other work isn't as good, but the two for Pete Davidson for me.
Well, don't watch Meet Cute then, because
I don't even know what that is.
It's a romantic comedy. With
I know
Pete
what
Davidson.
rom-com is.
I wasn't trying to use the full terminology. I didn't mean to correct myself. I know you know what it is. It's a Groundhog Day type thing with Pete Davidson and Kaylee Cuoco. That doesn't matter. Don't watch it.
I won't. Number 5 on my list is a movie we've talked about in the past. I don't know if this actually is considered a 2022 release, because I think IMDb calls it 2021. But as far as I'm aware, it came out this year, and that is The Humans, which is a movie of a family getting together at Thanksgiving in a shitty New York apartment, and then, drama entails. I'm not going to go into it because I think we've talked about it before, but everyone involved did a really good job acting. It all unravels, and you learn about the characters in a really interesting way. And despite how awkward it was, I loved it.
We have spoken about this movie before on the podcast. I thought this was going to be number 1 for you. And I absolutely did not like it at all. I'll just leave it at that. We don't have to have this fight again. Well, we didn't really fight. I mean, it comes down to preference. Yeah,
like, this is the movie where I can say that I like it, but I wouldn't strongly recommend it to anyone. Like, if you like going and watching plays, you're going to love this movie.
I was just going to say that.
because I think it was written as a play. And that's pretty obvious when you're watching it, because like all the scenes look like this is something that would be on a stage. And so I feel like I actually would really enjoy plays if I ever went to them. I think I haven't been to a play in like 20 years. But all like movies that are kind of play adaptations, I've been enjoying more and more lately. This one obviously included.
So I mean, like my sister was in a lot of plays growing up, and like so just from that connection, me and my family would go to like theater stuff, watch plays, like being in drama in high school. I enjoyed plays actually. Um, and then when they translate to movies, it's just there's a weird thing about, and like I could feel it with the Humans when I was watching the Humans, just watching it and listening to them talk and what's happening on the screen, you can kind of tell. Like I just feel like this was a play. Like I can tell. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the just constant monologues, maybe. Like everything is like there's gravity to everything, or like it feels like there's supposed to be gravity to everything everyone is saying, like every single word. Like there's not a wasted word. And I'm saying that even though I felt like it was just boring. And like they're just saying all these things. It was like conversations, and like I didn't really care, and I was waiting for things to happen. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and I am. But the main point I was trying to make about like plays adapted into movies is like for some reason I can always tell like, okay, this was a play. And it's the same thing about I think we talked about it before very briefly, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That was like back in 2020, but like within 5 minutes I was like, yeah, this was a play.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about the Humans is it's the opposite of the last movie I talked about, Decision to Leave, where that one I felt like not satisfactory ending but very entertaining beginning. This one, it's like it builds up slowly, and I felt satisfied with where all of the characters ended. I felt like there was a reason for all the twists and turns, there was a reason for all the conversation, and I felt like, okay, this is a proper ending.
Wait, you felt that way about the Humans?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to have a similarity of opinion on this one.
I was going to say, I think this is the biggest disagreement that we've ever had, because like, and I don't think I'm only bringing this up because I don't think we mentioned it when we were talking about it in the previous episode, but it didn't seem to me like there was any resolution or conclusion to anything at the end of the movie. It was kind of just, they're done, and like they're done having dinner and talking, and I didn't really notice. Maybe that was it. I didn't notice a conclusion, or I didn't catch on to a conclusion.
For me, the conclusion doesn't have to be that things get resolved. It's that you understand the character. And I feel like at the beginning, it's like, okay, people are acting in a certain way. Is that just because of the dynamic? Is that who they are? And then at the end, you can tell that all of these arguments are still outstanding with all of them. But I also feel like I've lived with these characters, and I get them.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. I mean, in that case, I feel like that they did that within an hour and a half into the movie, or like an hour. I don't remember how long it was. But I felt like, yeah, that I got that an hour into the movie. Anyways, I'll stop. Number 4. Oh, back to mainstream blockbuster. Doctor Strange is number 4 in my movie. I really liked it. I'm gonna speed past this one. Sam Raimi, I like his style. I like that it was basically a horror movie starring Elizabeth Olsen. She acted the shit out of it. Cameos or whatever. They didn't have the same wow factor to me because I didn't even know some of those characters. I thought it was just a cool like continuation of the story. So I'm sure the cameos that you hated did not affect me in the same way. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't know why I didn't like it, because like I didn't mind the cameos, and I liked the Sam Raimi direction and kind of weirdness, and I liked that they actually made Scarlet Witch a real villain. They didn't try to like pull back on that. It's like a lot of the things that they did worked for me, but for whatever reason I just didn't care, and I don't know what the right reason for that is. I'm sure if I like go back and rewatch it, maybe I could think of it, but it just like I watched it and I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. The one thing I will say though, and it's not even just um, well, actually, yeah, Doctor Strange I think was one of the main like beginnings of the multiverse stuff in the Marvel movies. Um, I kind of don't like the implications of what they did. I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but it kind of just means like, okay, it doesn't matter if you die. There's another one of you, um, which I think it really cheapens a lot of like there's possibilities, great, but it also kind of cheapens some of the consequences in any of these movies.
Yeah, and Marvel has never really had consequences because whatever characters die, they just bring them back. But I do agree that it's kind of this is the end. You can't really go anywhere from here because nothing matters. Either that
Yeah.
or you have to like really small scale restart it or reboot it. And I don't know what they're planning to do. I
Yeah.
like Jonathan Majors. I hope that he does a good job as Kang. But like, yeah, I'm kind of not
Yeah.
emotionally
I
invested anymore.
yeah, I will. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't go that to that point, but I'm still kind of invested. I I get that they're building up to Kang. I just hope that whatever happens in those movies with him, like in their struggle against Kang, somehow they lose the ability to go to different multi like to different universes, and it just gets returns like becomes a little more grounded again. I don't know because I'm sure they're not stopping after that.
Yeah, like I feel like in the past I've said that I don't care about Marvel, but then I still go and see them all like as soon as I possibly can. But I feel like at this point I really actually don't care about what they're doing in their stories. I'll still watch them like when I can, but
Yeah,
I'm not rushing out.
I'm maybe like a year behind you on that. Yeah, on that vibe, that feeling.
All right, my number 4, which is probably my surprise of the list, is Top Gun Maverick,
Ooh.
which was probably number 2 for a lot of the year, and then got kicked out by a few of the movies that I watched recently. I would say very similar to Mad Max Fury Road. It's just a very good action movie, and maybe this is buying me points as being not just pretentious indie movie guy. It's like for everything that I complain about with a lot of other action movies, like I don't even expect that much. You know, I want some good characters. I want to understand what the objective is. I want to understand like the logistics and what's going on, and it simply does that. It has characters that you want to root for, that you care about, that are going off and doing a thing. They do the thing, there's good action scenes, and that's it. And that is enough for me to enjoy an action movie. I would much rather watch an action movie over a Thanksgiving dinner most nights, but you know, usually Thanksgiving dinner movies have a lot better acting, better filmmaking involved, and the action movies are dumb side characters like Violent Night. Sorry, um, but this one didn't. It had the right characters, it had the right music, the right action effects, and it was just really well done, and I enjoyed it for that.
I agree actually 100%. Um, I could make an argument for my own list for it to be higher. I mean between like Scream and Bodies. Um, the one question I had for you about Top Gun is how did you feel about the end, like when they've both crashed, and then they like just walk up to they walk up to the Russian airbase and steal another plane?
I felt that they like when that was happening, I was like, oh, you really should have ended this. Like, there's no
Yeah.
need for this to keep going. Like, you were at your end. Um, it was fine. Like, it wasn't. It didn't drag on enough to lose me. I think if it would have gone on any more, it would have. So it certainly wasn't something that added to the movie, but it didn't take away from the main things I liked about the movie, which was like all the training sequences and all that.
Yeah. The one guy who's like part of training or part of the team who's like kind of a dick, like the super arrogant one. Um,
Hangman.
Hangman, yes. Like he's like it's clear his thing is like he's not a team player, or like he's a terrible wingman because he'll just leave you out to dry or like leave you abandon you. And then he had a whole like redemption arc for like I don't know why that was like they made him the hero to save uh Goose and Tom Cruise. at the end after they steal that plane. I thought that was a strange choice, but small gripe.
Yeah, like what I liked about the movie, I think as I just said, was like everything that was leading up to the big action scene. And then the action scene was okay. It wasn't a great action scene. It wasn't a bad action scene. It was what it was, and it kind of wrapped up the way that I would have expected. It's going to be like a weird comparison, but it feels similar to Shakespeare's story, where all the excitement of the story happens in kind of the middle part, and then like the end is just, okay, we're just wrapping it up. And it doesn't really matter as much. And so from that perspective, it was a fine ending, not good, not bad.
Okay, that's fair. Number 3 on my list, which I'm fairly certain was nowhere near your top 10. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I knew this was going to be on there.
Did you? Okay. I really liked it. It was over the top without being too over the top for me. I mean, especially considering it's Nicolas Cage, and it's like Nicolas Cage being aware that he's Nicolas Cage. So they could have easily just like completely gone off the rails with it to the point where I wouldn't even like it. But it was quite like they kept it under control. What's his name? The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal. He does a really great like goofy face where he's supposed like a thing where he's supposed to be kind of just like a lovable dumb guy. He does that a lot in this movie. There's not too much Tiffany Haddish, which is great. The only gripe that I would have about it is the ending. I really wish they didn't like. I felt like I had passed out and woke up like in another movie because it was so weird that I think the end is like a standoff. They're like caught and then like someone gets shot and then it immediately transitioned to it was a movie that they were watching, which almost ruined like everything for me because that was just too strange and it didn't make any sense. Sorry if I spoiled it.
I don't remember that part.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's literally the very end, but I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of guessing here. I feel like it probably bombed. Would you happen to know?
People talked about it. Like I don't know how it did financially, but like it had decent word of mouth at the time that it was coming out.
Okay. All that. I mean, I'm just saying that to say I don't know if I'm spoiling anything because I would recommend it. Because I don't know, it's just really enjoyable. It's pretty funny. And it was a relief that it was funny considering that the trailer was really bad.
Yeah, I didn't mind this movie. I don't think I would say that I love it or it's nowhere near my top 10, but it should have been really, really bad. It should have been everything that I hate in a movie. And somehow they just went out and just made a regular movie, which I think because I was expecting it to be so bad, I enjoyed it because it was just Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal kind of working with each other. Similar to Violent Night and other comments we've made tonight, I don't understand Tiffany Haddish's character and that other guy that's with him. It's like, why you can just play it straight. I don't get why you need to have the over the top goofy FBI agent. Just have a regular person and it would be just fine. But anyway, I did not hate this movie. I would even go so far as to recommend it. It's an okay movie.
It's great.
Okay, my number 3 is The Banshees of Inisherin, which is a movie with Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell on a remote Irish island. They are friends. Before the movie, they are friends, and then all of a sudden, at the beginning of the movie, Brendan Gleeson decides, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, Colin Farrell, because you're boring and you're too nice of a guy, and I don't want to die, I guess, being friends with a fool. And they just argue for an hour and a half, and it basically escalates, and it just, I don't know. I have a really hard time explaining why I like this movie. It felt very similar to some of the other movies that so McDonough brothers, which have done movies like Three Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri, and In Bruges, with these two same actors. It's that same type of humor. If you've liked their stuff in the past, this is probably a lesser version of other things that they've done. I would say Calvary and In Bruges and Three Billboards are better versions of it, but this is entertaining on its own right. Lots of funny characters, lots of funny moments. Makes me want to go live in an Irish island and go to a pub. So
would you say, I mean, because looking at this, I get the Lighthouse vibes.
Definitely not to that extreme.
Okay, good. I mean, okay.
Because it's not that weird. Like it is like a very straightforward, there's a whole village. There's not like just these two guys. The Lighthouse is not just a movie. I feel like there's artsy over the top. Like this has no artsy value. It's just comedic dialogue.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is like I'm kind of interested in this one. I know this was, I think, was it on your anticipated list?
It was. I think it was near the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like you mentioned, In Bruges, which they've also been in. In Bruges has been on my list to watch for the first time for like years now, and I've just never got around to it. So I feel like depending on how much I like In Bruges when I finally watch it, I may watch this one as well.
Yeah, I would say this is probably like of these two brothers who they don't make movies together. They just make movies separately that are very similar to each other. It's probably like fourth or fifth on my movies. Again, this is not the best year, so some of the movies that are on my list might not make a top 10 in any other year. But it's just like, it's a solid movie, well acted. Colin Farrell, very funny guy. Brendan Gleeson, also very funny. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Getting near the end here. I think I'm not sure if you're expecting this one, but number 2 on my list is Knives Out. Or sorry, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I was expecting this at some point.
Were you? Okay. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's from knowing the person that I am, it's also the fact that I like mystery crime type movies, especially I forgot to mention Death on the Nile was like an honorable mention from this year. Like I really enjoyed that, but it wasn't top 10 worthy for me. The original Knives Out was great. That was on my top 10, I think. It might have been, I don't know. It was pretty high on my top 10 in the previous years. This one is not as good as the first Knives Out. It's much less subtle. This is like a sledgehammer compared to a knife of Knives Out. Again playing into the whole theme of like everyone is a terrible person. Like every single character is a terrible person, except, and this is like a recurring theme across the two Knives Out movies. The protagonist, aside from Daniel Craig, who's played by Janelle Monáe, her name is Andy. I'm trying to tread lightly here because I don't want to spoil anything because it's only come out recently. So I'll tell you what. I'll say watch the movie. If you haven't seen it and you do want to see it, stop listening now or skip ahead until I'm done talking about it. But basically, what I was trying to get at is spoilers starting now. Rian Johnson in the Knives Out movies, he does a good job. Or what I really like is that the protagonist is always like the protagonist wins because they are a good person. Like Ana de Armas from the first Knives Out, like he does a good job of like building them up to just be. It's very obvious. This is a very good person. Ana de Armas was like a caretaker or like a nurse, immigrated from another country, who's taking care of her parents or her mother, her sick mother, whatever. Janelle Monáe, it turns out her character is there's twins. She's her twin sister. Wait, have you seen this movie?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay. the one of the twins is murdered, and then her twin sister is like a school teacher, like a really nice school teacher from like the south of America, and she wants to find out what happened. She wants to get justice for her twin sister. Um, and it just plays up how like they're even like the fact that like they're physically small people and just like unassuming and just nice. And they end up winning in the end. Is one of the main things that I like about the two Knives Out movies. Aside from the fact that like it's a whole mystery thing, like a crime murder mystery, which I also enjoy. I mentioned that already. And then going back to the characters, like they all suck, but they're all like it's going back into the social commentary thing about like there's the Dave Bautista is like the streamer who's like a right wing men's rights activist, like shitty guy who carries a gun with him everywhere, like very obvious. Edward Norton, who's like the main rich guy who's collected everyone to spend a weekend with him on his private island. He's clearly like Elon Musk slash like hints of Donald Trump slash they even dress him as like what Steve Jobs during a flashback scene. Like he looks exactly like Steve Jobs when he's like taking over his company from some other poor person. And then there's like the model and the who else? Like the politician who's like advocating for like green energy, even though she doesn't really give a shit. So yeah, all terrible people. And then they're just trying to find out who killed this person. I forget what else I was gonna say, but yeah, I liked it. I remember what I was gonna say. I just really wish that he didn't end it the way he did. Like the last 5 minutes just made absolutely no sense to me. Where I think Janelle Monáe just starts smashing up his house, like Edward Norton's house, because he turns out to be the murderer. And then she uses his big invention that he stole from her twin sister was like a energy source, like a crystal that can be used to power like lots of like homes, but it's very dangerous. So it's like a scam kind of. And then she uses it to like blow up his house while they're all still inside. And I was like, is she going to just kill all of them and herself? Because that doesn't really track with how the movie was going and how her character was. But she blows up the house. They all survive. And he just decides not to try and kill her like he did her sister, because he's shown that he's willing to kill people because he killed one of his friends. He killed the twin sister. And he just lets this girl do this in front of him while he supposedly also has a gun with him. Anyways, I feel like I haven't I haven't done a great job of explaining. I hope it's been clear, but all those gripes aside, I really enjoyed. I was very invested in what was happening, and I really enjoyed watching it develop, and it was pretty funny too.
I don't really disagree with anything that you've said. I really liked Knives Out. I liked this one, but not as much as I liked Knives Out. There was a point in the movie where I was watching it with my wife, and she turned to me and she's like, who do you think the murderer is? And I was like, no. It's not going to be that simple. There's going to be some twist in the middle. And then it was like literally like 10 seconds afterwards, there was literally like a huge twist. And it did make me kind of think of like, how many more times can you make this type of movie where it's like the same, as you were saying, the same type of person wins because they're the right person. Like Rian Johnson's a good director, despite Last Jedi, and I think this movie confirms that Last Jedi was not his fault because he's made 5 good movies and 1 bad one. But I think he was, there was a news article that came out that said he was mad at the title, that it said A Knives Out Mystery, because he doesn't want them branded to be the same thing. He wants them to just be like this one character and just basically an excuse to keep making different mystery movies. And I hope he continues to do it, but I hope they start being a little bit more different, because it did feel like a little bit near the end that, okay, there's a lot of similarities between the bad group of people, the one good person in the group who's going to get justice at the end. So I hope he goes in a completely different direction for the next one of these, which I think this movie's decently successful, so he probably will make one. But, as a whole, I still enjoyed it kind of mostly because of the cast and, good group of characters and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was a good point also about like, I mean, the similarity. I enjoyed both of them for some of the similar things that he did. It is a good point that I hope he finds a way to switch it up at least a little bit. I mean, it like even the other movies that I was talking about, Death on the Nile and what was the other one? The first one with Kenneth Branagh,
Murder on the Orient.
Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah. Those are like, I mean, it's kind of they're also very similar, but like different, but they don't have the same like exact tropes to the point of the Knives Out movies. Like you said, like everyone sucks and then there's the one good person. So I don't know if he can, because it's the two Knives Out movies are very creative. But I'm hoping that they're not creative because he knows what he's doing with this type, like with these two themes, and he just keeps reusing them in different ways. Which, I mean, if he keeps doing them well, great. But I would also like to see him do a different thing. And going back to The Last Jedi, I disagree in that I'm not going to argue about like we all know you don't like it, I like it. I think it's all him. I think it was him just for the fact that he was like trying to do something different and taking risks. I don't see a whole lot of like where a studio would be like, you have to put this in there. Like anything that's in there, I can't see where a studio would have said, we want you to do this.
The things that I didn't like about Last Jedi are probably different than the things you didn't like about Last Jedi. Because what I didn't like was like the weird, goofy tone, and then they go to the casino planet and have the big like, message about it's important to save the people, blah blah, and that feels very Disney. And like all the goofy like tone that changes. I think BB-8 drives like a ATST legs at one point, and it's like that stuff felt like Disney. That didn't feel like Rian Johnson. Whereas the stuff I really liked about The Last Jedi, which is the whole Rey and Kylo Ren connection, that felt very similar to the stuff that he's done in Looper, a little bit of the stuff that he's done in Brothers Bloom. Brothers Bloom is a movie that has very much the same type of tropes that Knives Out and Glass Onion has, so does kind of make me get concerned that it's like, okay, he knows how to do one thing and he's going to keep doing it. But Looper is a different enough movie that hopefully he goes more in that direction with his next stuff.
Yeah. I will defend Rian Johnson till I die. I will die on that hill.
In hindsight, Last Jedi might be one of my favorite Disney Star Wars movies. It's probably not saying a whole lot. All right. My number 2, which I'm pretty sure is going to be your number 1, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a movie. I think we did an episode on this, didn't we?
Yep, with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, multiverse movies. So I don't know how much you want to go into it again. I think I said everything I wanted to say. Very, very good movie. Very funny, very dramatic. Kind of hits all those beats. The only thing that prevented it from being number 1 for me was it just goes on and on at the end, and it feels like it's ending like 4 or 5 times. If it wrapped up a little cleaner, I think I would have liked it. Probably push it to number 1. But because of the ending, it sits at number 2 for me.
That's my main gripe with it as well. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it was number 1 for me. So you can get on with your list. I will just add that I watched it again recently, and I enjoyed it just as much as I watched it the first time. The butt plug fight will never cease to make me laugh.
Have you watched Swiss Army Man yet?
I have not. That is also like, it's been on my list as long as In Bruges. But I will. I'll get around to it.
All right. Do you have anything more to say before I get on to my number 1?
No. The other thing I will say is I thought it was going to be number 7 on your list.
Now I'm curious as to what was your top 3 for me, and what do you think is going to be my number 1?
So 2 was blank, but I knew that Triangle of Sadness was going to be somewhere, and like I wouldn't put too much stake into the order because I was I had no idea. But X and Pearl were like 9 and 8. Tar was 6. The Whale was on there.
I haven't seen The Whale yet.
Oh, okay. The Northman is number 3. Humans, I put number 1 for you. Top Gun number 10. Yeah.
Well, you were pretty close because The Northman is my number 1. Everything else on this list is an imperfect movie. The Northman is the only good movie that came out this year, in my opinion. It is the only complete cinematic experience that has good acting, good direction, good story, good meaning. Everything works very, very well, and it wraps up in a very satisfying conclusion that tells the whole story. So I have 0 complaints or 0 bad things to say about The Northman. It is a fantastic, fantastic movie.
0? Like nothing at all?
There's nothing that I would complain about. Even like one of the things that I thought I wasn't going to like coming into it is it felt like a generic action movie, like from the trailers. And I think that's just because it was a different studio. A24 produced The Lighthouse and The Witch, which is from the same director. And I was like, oh, from the trailer, it seemed like it was going to be a more kind of generic, straightforward action movie. And it really doesn't. Like it, from the trailers, you can tell his dad is killed, his mom is taken, and then he's on a revenge path. But then all of a sudden it just kind of like goes in these different directions, and then they end up in like Iceland on some like sheep farm and stuff. And I felt like I never knew where it was going, but it was whisking me in a direction, and I was always kind of being introduced to a new story that I enjoyed. And all these little, like they have a Valkyrie that shows up, which is a funny comparison to the Valkyrie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's like a very different version, but kind of more in line with the mythology. And then there's like a time where he has to get like a sword from a mythological character, and it's like there's all these little fun journey characters that happen. Bjork shows up at one point as like a witch.
Yeah.
And it was just like I loved it all, and then the ending was just, it was perfect. It was like cinematic and like a good conclusion to what the characters were, so I loved it.
Okay. I mean,
what were your complaints with it? Did you watch it? Actually?
I don't really have specific complaints. Like, I agree it was a good movie. I think this 100% comes down to preference. It was good. I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much as you did. I mean, like the same director, I think I have issues with like just the pacing, and just I will feel like this is much slower than you will, because I think you enjoy more of what's happening. Like all the like different adventures that he went on, I feel like I'm making myself sound dumb here, but I was a little confusing to me. Like it was cool, like cool separate things. For some of them, I didn't really understand how they just tied into the flow of one story, like of his revenge thing. But I mean, that's not, I'm not going to hold it against the movie. I don't think it's a fault of the movie. I think it was a fault of my brain. So, I mean, like, yeah, it was good. It's not something that I particularly enjoyed just because it's me.
For me, those like side stories worked, kind of reminded me of something similar to like a Ben-Hur or Lawrence of Arabia, where it's like this big epic long journey that eventually is going to get somewhere. And so I didn't feel like it needed to be, okay, you're going off on your revenge journey, how does this specific story help you get there? It was kind of like, here is the story of this mythological character. And in my opinion, how they treated mythology and kind of this aura of it, when you compare that to like a Marvel movie where it's like, here it all is, you just see everything, and you see everything, and like everything is lit well, and you see all the characters, and this just has like a certain element of the things that are mystical seem mystical, the things that are supernatural seem supernatural and like weird and crazy, and it's like they hit the right tones for the right characters. And it was still like, it's a pretty straightforward story. It's like someone killed his dad, he wants to go kill the person who killed his dad. And so it's like, while like they go down different paths, there's like certain parts when he goes on the adventure to get the sword that you're like, I kind of missed exactly the details of what he's going on, but it's like, okay, I get the point. You're getting a weapon because you need to kill the guy who killed your dad. And so that's what kind of like strung it together with that nice understandable storyline, whereas like some of the other stories, like Everything Ever All at Once and Decision to Leave, it's like, okay, where are you going with this? I don't understand, like, how are you wrapping this up? Whereas this one was like very focused, very like, I understand what the point of the movie is.
Yeah, that's fair. And I would agree with that as well. Like I always understood what the point of the movie was. It's just like some of the branches I didn't understand how they fit into the whole movie, which again, I don't hold it against it. I would recommend The Northman, but obviously not to everyone. um
Yeah, it's not like a big blockbuster popcorn movie. It's like it's a
yeah.
specific type of movie for a specific audience. And I am
Yeah.
that target audience, so
And we've discussed this before too about the trailer, like how you were kind of put off about how it seemed like a more action type movie, where I thought like, oh great, it's gonna be more action. So I mean, there was more action and the action was pretty cool, but it was like it was similar to Blade Runner 20
49.
whatever 49, where like there was a tiny bit of action, but the action was really good. Um,
I feel like
I don't
all
know
of the action that they got for the trailer for The Northman came in the first like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then after that, they
Yeah.
just go to Iceland for like an hour. So
And they play like Icelandic football and
yeah.
like just talk. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it by any means.
Presumably your favorite movie from this director. The other ones being The Witch and the Lighthouse.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it longer than I really needed to. Yeah, that's it's 100% true. And I guess like the trailer did give me what I wanted, but a lot of other stuff that I didn't want. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with. I mean, I don't disagree with you putting it up there. I disagree with Knives Out not being anywhere.
Glass Onion.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have been in the 20 to 30 range for me.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well, that's our lists for another year. We're going to post these on Instagram soon, and then I think in the coming weeks we will also be posting our top 10 most anticipated lists. I already have 4 for my list because 4 that didn't come out last year. And I'll need to do some research because I don't know anything that's coming out next year.
I have 3 of those as well. And this year I'm going to try really, really hard not to fuck up my Instagram post, because 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years running, I've made a weird mistake. I was looking back on them recently, and I don't know if you noticed, but I hope you didn't, because if you did and you didn't tell me, I'm a little hurt by that. Oh, by the way, there's big news coming up this year. So if you're listening and you're used to, and if you've been listening for a while, we're working on some changes with the podcast. I can call that out, right?
Yeah.
Bit of an announcement for the new year. We're changing. And also, if you're listening and you want to be a guest, we haven't done that in a while. So
I have lots of ideas for guest-based shows. So
I have a few myself. So yeah, big things coming in the new year, hopefully.
All right. Well, stay tuned for those, and check out at Houston We Have a Podcast on Instagram to see our lists for next year.